Excellent. So let me just make sure that all the titles and everything are okay. Twitch or Restream, whichever it is, still claims that, even though I changed it like literally 3 different places, still claims that I'm playing TaleSpire. Sorry, RimWorld, not TaleSpire. TaleSpire is what we are playing today. So, okay, this looks much better now. Back over here, just to double check. Tags are okay. Title is okay. Category is right. Good. Get away from that. Go into performance mode. Custom this. And don't need that folder either. Okay, so TaleSpire today. Just a little extra. Just a little extra stream for those that are interested in this kind of stuff. Because I need to get some stuff done in TaleSpire. And I thought I would share it for anyone who's interested in dropping by. Unknown realm. Okay, so what's in here? Nothing. Good. Oh, right, that's the... There are things in here. These are the new assets, or at least, well, not all these guys, but most of these are the new assets that were just recently added. So we got like some snaky serpent man temple tile set, which I've got a little bit of mixed feelings about. And we also got some serpent folk, an archer, a caster, and a melee combatant. So that's the 3 main archetypes, I guess, when it comes to fantasy. You say, Andre. Got a little bit of mixed feeling about these blocks here. I can show you why. Rune Temple. Because they give you like this thing, which is a very universally applicable tile, right? But then they give you this thing, which has like a huge orange square on the top that's so fucking lopsided. And it also has one on the side here, which no matter how you slice and dice it, how do you want to like the only way you can physically make use of that pattern is if you do something like this, but then the top pattern is all screwed, so you would have to build it like this, which gives you not very many options in how you can use these tiles. So anyway, leave the campaign. Parents still haven't. Okay, I actually have some stuff I wanted to talk with you about in regards to that, because I have a little bit of a concern, and it's been on my mind for quite a while, ever since the celebration stream, and it's been on my mind because I don't know exactly how to deal with it, because you've probably been excited to like start D&D and stuff, but just to put it bluntly, I'm a little bit worried about your accent when I got to talk with you, because personally I had a lot of, not difficulty, but I needed to focus a lot, if you understand me correctly, if I needed to understand exactly what you were trying to say. And I am very worried that that is gonna like negatively impact the experience for everyone. including yourself, mind you. And I don't know exactly what to do about it. But I do hope that you understand why I'm concerned, at least. So you understand. Okay, good. Yeah, because communication is a very integral part of playing tabletop pen and paper, no matter what system. So I'm a little bit worried that I wouldn't be able to, well, understand you like 70% of the time, maybe. Well, no, 30% of the time, and that would be enough for me to to bother me, at least. That being said, it could just be because I'm not acquainted with your accent well enough yet. I've worked with people in the past who have very relatively thick accents, and you get used to that kind of stuff as time moves on. So, not wanting to promise anything in the future, but it does have the possibility that if I get used to your way of speaking, if you will, then it would make it possible. I would mitigate the problem, so to speak. Is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I just felt that I needed to tell you that. And since you haven't been on the streams recently, I was like, okay, well, I'll give it some more thought, and then we'll see. But yeah, that's basically what it is. So today we're building taverns because I need some taverns for the campaign, and I'm not entirely sure on how to go about this. So me being here is very iffy. I mean, these are just more generic battle maps, honestly, so it's not really that big of a deal. Also, why are there... Okay, so they're slightly different in texture, but they're virtually the same things. They just have a default rotation difference. You having the ability to come here. I mean, the others could do that too, so... Cats are fighting. Oh, okay. Talk to you in a bit then. How do I want to do this? Okay, let's put down just a basic floor to begin with, because... And this might become apparent in a moment, but I need to design a tavern in a very non-standard way. Well, sorta. Because this tavern needs to have rounded outer edges. And so far, I'm only aware of one tile set. Okay, there's two tile sets that allow for it, so the Morgoth one does. These do look like a bit more evil, though. But they are at least clean, so those could be possible. Yeah, this gives me more of like a haunted castle kind of vibe. I mean, look at this. Right? So what else do we have? I know not the ruined temple, but the... I think it's the regular ruins. Or is it a yeah, it's this dungeon. That one has these, but these are like very mossy and overgrown, so they wouldn't fit. You're not always home, so you can't come to most streams. Oh. Oh, in that sense. So you being able to be here is gonna be problematic, is what you mean. Not you being in the prep streams being problematic, but being able to be present is a problem. Okay. I see. Yeah, I've been slowly working with the other guys and stuff in order to, notify them that the campaign is nearing, like we're getting ready, basically. Does this look completely dumb? Looks a little bit whack. But I don't think I have any other choices for what I want to try. technically I could take the Morgoth set and try and just use that one for the exterior walls, I guess, but that would make it more like a castle than a tavern. But I could use the wooden flooring and try and do it that way. Yeah, the outer walls are very castle-y. Hmm. Oh yeah, look at this set piece. Not even a set piece, this is just a wall segment. Hmm. So is that because you're living in that tent situation? Is that why? Oh yeah, this is like next level stuff. It's a pretty cool tile set. I haven't really looked too much into these yet, so this is pretty expansive. But yeah, this is maybe a little bit too dark and grim for what I want, so let's try and do a combination of these. But up. So like if I remove these and use the other version of this, gives you that raised edge out on the corners. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. One of my friends just moved recently into a new house and he won't have like any internet for like an entire month because they need, apparently it takes them an entire month to like install fiber, and that's the connection he wanted, so he's like stuck without any internet almost for like a month. I was talking with him the other day and it was like really hard to understand sometimes what he was trying to say. Where are the doors again? That's like a category here on its own, I believe. Yes. Oh, really? That's very interesting. Well, I guess I'm not the only one who has a. I guess you must be used to it then, that people have issues understanding you, which obviously kind of sucks, but you know what I mean. Well, there's also these ones. Could these maybe work a little bit better? Hmm. So it also has more like of a curvature to it. Okay, let's try that actually. That might blend in with the colors a little bit better. Even if they're supposed to be more colorful, we can work with this. I think that might also be, yeah, this is more tuned. I wish I could change the color of these. Just like a, a modifier that changes the hue and saturation of them so that I could tune them to basically turn them into this sand color of this wall. Because then you could use these together without any issues. And it wouldn't be super glaring either. Yeah, English not being your first language. Yeah. It's like a friend of mine who comes from Bulgaria. We also had hard time sometimes understanding what he was trying to say because like certain words he had difficulty like pronouncing, I guess. Fun thing that happened to you. That's what I mean. I guess you mean. You got your Steam account hacked. Well, that's 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 not good. Why did you go and get that done? I know you didn't do it intentionally, of course, but Should I? Yeah, let's make the outer edge first, actually. Because I'm starting to notice that the pattern on the floorboards is gonna mess with my creativity here. But yeah, I want to make them like like rounded cornered buildings because that's what they are in universe. And that means that there's more verticality to those buildings than what you would normally expect, I guess. So this is a little bit of experimentation, so bear with me. Oh, you got it back within like 20 hours or 10 hours. Yeah. Oh, that's good. I've had my account hacked in the past. Do you have Steam Guard? Because if you don't, then I would highly recommend you to get that. Because that's what I'm using and it's working. It's been working like a charm. I haven't been hacked ever since that one time I got hacked years ago. So. Oh, you are? Okay. How the heck did it get hacked then? Because they would literally need to have access to your phone, don't they? Or your authenticator app. In order to like use that authenticator app, the device has to be authorized or something, right? So color me a little bit impressed. It works weird. Not exactly sure what you mean by weird. In your opinion. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Is it there is... Wait, wasn't there like a... Okay, so I guess there's only like this thing here. It's like a very awkward window. I wanted to do something interesting with your walls. Don't know if I want to do this though. Well, this can stay for now. One thing that is way too easy is when they get in, they can change everything really fast. Yeah, I mean... Yeah. I can't remember if they need access to like your email or not. Oh yeah, we do have like some more stair options if we go to a different build set. Which one was it again? So in here you have stone stairs, but I don't want to use stone stairs. I want to use wooden ones. I think that's the rural set, so to speak. Okay, so interesting. So if I build in like a staircase here, it is gonna show through the wall, but it's not like I've got a choice because they snap. But that's fine. It's not like the exterior is gonna be accessible anyways. Or rather, it's not intended to be part of the battle map, so. Because when you want to remove a phone, just click it and it's removed, or switch to email, they just do it. Didn't ask me anything that would allow me to stop them. But they would need to have access to your Steam Guard first, right? But I don't know. I am not an expert. Okay, Let's do just one floor up like this, maybe. Because as I said, I want to do like more verticality on these things. Yeah, that's not good. Being able to do that. I guess the general consensus is just don't get your account hacked. But I know that's a little bit easier said than done sometimes. Go. Just looking for like some ambient sounds. Should be a tavern here. But then the problem becomes, how would you... Well, I guess... Yeah, then the problem becomes that in order to remove a hacker that has added their phone, you do need support in there to do so. Also, if you don't any longer have access to that phone, you would also need support help for you to remove that phone. Also, if you lost your phone, it would be the same deal. You would need outside support in order to do it, and then your account could be compromised. Yeah, I know, something like that. Obviously, it's impossible to come up with a, a working solution, but we can't really do much else than assume that Steam, they have been doing their homework. I'll try doing like a pattern similar to like the ground floor here, just to keep the style. Sort of. Seems like it would work okay. I mean, I know we have this stuff sticking out on the edges here, but there's nothing I can do about that, so... People just need to not be looking at it, I guess. And technically, I don't think I really need the corners. Do sort of finish it up on the inside though, with just that little bit of stuff there, but that's like only something that I would ever notice, I believe. Clickety clickety, everything is removedy. which one was it that worked like that again? There's another thing that I'm like thinking of. I think it's PlayStation Network has like a similar deal where it's like the opposite way around. It's like so fucking easy to add other devices, or no, sorry, to link up your accounts across devices, I think it was, for PlayStation Network. But it's like really, really difficult to remove them. And I had a hacker that actually somehow hooked up one of their device accounts or something with my other, you know, PlayStation Network device account, or my existing one, because I had some other devices in there, and that got them access to the entire PlayStation Network account. And I couldn't, like, even though I still had access to my account, I hadn't lost access to it, I could not remove him from having access to my account that way. Like, I couldn't remove the link myself, because in order to remove the link, you need to have support do it for you. So I was like stuck here with an obviously hacked account. I was like, yo, support, do something, because I can't, and you guys are like preventing me from actively maintaining my own account. Now that was real freaky. Neat. So, you know, it can definitely be worse. Can definitely be worse. Sure, go ahead. So this is the chimney block stuff. Guess we don't necessarily are going to be using that with this particular build. Okay, so how do I wanna... Oh, that's not what I wanted to access. That's what I wanted to grab. I guess I technically need one of these instead. Let's see how this is gonna turn out. Don't want to make the verticality elements too complex necessarily. But I do feel there's like a need to add just a little bit of something here. I also just noticed that this is what we gotta deal with in terms of getting like a railing. We only have this one thing. It's fine. OIT, is that how you pronounce that? You can correct me if you want. And yes, I am enjoying OT. Okay, OT then. I'll try and remember that. But yeah, I am enjoying TaleSpire. Are you familiar with this and used to using it yourself? Also, just gonna read your story, Andre. Started in a tavern, and because roleplay, you ordered the strongest drink and then had to make a roll to not get drunk. You failed with a 2, as you do. Then I was like, let's try it again, and I failed again, this time with a 4. Try some more. And I'm playing a Goliath, and cause why not, the DM made me fall over onto a dwarf. That's how I got my first kill. Wait, what? You got a kill that way? Interesting. 200 hours with it. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. I only have 18 hours at this point. But yeah, I am enjoying it. I do hope that they implement some future features that I would like to see, at least. Are you also a DM, OT? With like a running campaign and stuff? Squish the dwarf. I mean, you would have to be really heavy. That probably wouldn't happen in my case. You would probably fall onto the dwarf and he would get like badly injured maybe, and then the rest of the tavern would try and get you off the dwarf. Mainly you DM, but mainly build and post on Tales Tavern. Ah, okay. Yeah, I'm preparing myself for a campaign with like a custom world and stuff, so. And we talked about what tool to use for the battle maps. And it was a little bit, you know, do we want to use something that's exclusively free, or do we want to see what the paid options are out there? And we ended up settling with TaleSpire because I had been messing with it recently, and I just showed it off to some of the people for the campaign, and then they were immediately like, yeah, we're just going to use this now. So that is kind of how that happened. And I'm very much looking forward to it. I haven't DM'd for a very, very long time, so. Oh, wait, did I misalign these? Are they supposed to be all the way down there? No, I don't think so. I think they're supposed to be up here. Wearing a lot of equipment, and Goliaths are also heavy, and the dwarf was wearing... Oh, yeah, okay, maybe. I mean, what features am I interested in seeing? Well, and this is, you know, a really advanced feature, but like, if they implement something like that, it would make for like a lot of improvements or possibilities. Okay, I am realizing now that I did actually need to like take these down a notch, because if I don't, then shit. Then these floorboards won't align with the wall heights if I build up another level. Damn it. But let's see if I can actually... Can I actually get around like just multi-selecting this whole thing? Let me just fix this and then come back to that bot there. Okay. Shit, don't right click, god damn it. But it's a feature that if you're familiar with Incarnate, you might have tried it. If you've tried Incarnate, you will know how the feature works. Or not feature, it's like a bunch of features really. It's basically like some, what would you even call it? Post-processing effects? I guess you can try and sort of generalize it as. I'm not really that good at using the multi-select thing yet. And then it's, oh yeah, in order to move stuff you need to use Controls X and stuff, right? At this stage it would probably have been easier to just... now I need to like move these things up again. It would have been easier just to do one by one anyway. Yeah, I haven't talked about the feature yet, because I needed to focus for a second there. But in Incarnate, there is like, it's just to cover quickly what it is, it's a online-based battle map, world map, and city map creation toolkit, which is all 2D based, and it's got some really nice features into it that allows you to do some very custom stuff. And what I would like to see are some of those features, but in TaleSpire. So for instance, one thing in Incarnate you can do is that for any asset that you put onto your world map, they are acting as stamps in that thing. Then you have the ability to change the hue, saturation, and lightness of the texture for that asset, which becomes really, really powerful, because something that would allow me to do in this use case, for instance, is that I'm using these sandstone walls from a different tile set to make a rounded building, but you know, orange makes them stand out a lot, which works for the tile set itself, but makes it less applicable to other places. But imagine if I could adjust the hue and saturation of the color. I could change this entire texture of the thing to be the sand color basically used on these other parts of the tavern, and then they would blend in way better. So that's kind of one of the features I would really like. The ability to just change the coloring of tiles through like a shader that uses maybe some masking for certain props and tiles. But yeah, then use like a huge saturation thing, because you could use that on these tiles as well. Say like you separate the, like you mask out the texture for the shingle part of this, and then allow you to change that through like those settings. Then you could have a blue tiled roof, you could have a green tiled roof, all as much as you want, or you could make them slightly less intense and stuff. So that's what I would really like to see. Some more like dynamic options like that, because you could take the same system onto the creatures, like with the where did they put them again? Like with the new lizard folk, right? If you want to have like a specific subspecies of lizard folk that are different colors than green, you know, you could use the same logic there. And making a shader that does that isn't that difficult. The most difficult, or not difficult, but time consuming thing would probably be the masking. But yeah, you know. It's a feature that would make all the assets like 100 times more reusable. Have a date when we're gonna have the session 0, so I know when I have to inform you. Oh. No, I don't have a date yet. I do not have a date yet. Unfortunately. It's gonna be a little bit touch and go. Because some of the people that are gonna be in the campaign are not particularly limited for time, but like the time they have available sort of is a bit inconsistent, let's put it like that. Huh, okay, this is interesting. So how did I fuck this up? Wait. Shit. My first intuition was correct. Shit. God damn it. So these stairs, in order to align correctly, have to be raised above the floor level they're placed on, like this, right? I should really just have done like a simple test here. Obviously, there is like a little bit of a caveat to that, I guess. Because now they're aligned. Fuck. Oh well. Shit. That's no biggie. We're just gonna fix that, I guess. Hmm. Yeah, you should be fine, Andre. Like, I'll make sure to ask the, you guys that will be in the campaign ahead of time so you know when we're starting. Yeah, what other features could be really nice? I mean, an extension like triggers would be really nice for TaleSpire. Not super required because, I mean, it's mainly that's like a feature that's even for free tools like map tools are, what I would consider advanced stuff. And I do like the simplicity of TaleSpire. Alright, Andre, talk to you later. What about you, OT, though? You've been using this for much longer than I have. Do you have any features you would like to see in here? Okay, so if we put down a suggestion of a door there, we can get the suggestion of increased height without having to do more than just the bottom floor, essentially. What I was thinking. And we got the door section here. Yeah, this one looks a little bit like made out of cardboard. Okay, this door is maybe a little bit better. Let's try this. Which then means I need to figure out some kind of frame for it. Okay. Not exactly sure which tile set that belongs to, but it does seem like we are required to have like some kind of... Okay, it does go out all the way to the edges, so if I just put down some walls and a floor underneath, then it should be fine. Let's do this first, though. Probably going to be hard to make this building look structurally sound at this stage, because you would need like pillars that went through the whole damn thing, but those don't necessarily exist as like tiles. Don't even think you could do any in here besides. I mean, you could put down these and try and make the suggestion, but that's more work than I would like to do. So what misc interior stuff do we have? Oh, we do actually have a beam here. There's maybe like a bit more work than I necessarily am happy for. Oh, OT, okay. Did you catch what I was saying in terms of the suggestion thingy? Ah, you did. What are your thoughts on that yourself? Is that something you could see useful too? You agree 100%. Yeah, maybe not necessarily the direct implementation, I suppose, but at least like being able to change colors on things somehow. I just really like the way that Incarnate does it, because I, started using that very recently. How do I do this? Could also just cover this entire thing with floor, but I don't want to cover the entire thing if I can help it. But like, for instance, something that it allows you to do in Incarnate is that say you need like a a crystal asset or something like that for the world map, but there's no crystals in like as a pre-made texture for the stamp system. Well, what you can do is you can take a mountain shape and then you can squeeze it so that it becomes more narrow. You can make it slightly transparent. You can crank the saturation up really high and then mess around with the hues to get all the colors that you want, basically. And that way you can get like multicolored crystals on your map. Now, given that it's entirely 2D, what do you call it? Incarnate does have like some added benefits that you can't really do with TaleSpire. Like, for instance, it's almost like using an image editing software like Photoshop or Krita, where you can even like use blending effects like multiply and that kind of stuff, which is really cool. Been terrain builder hobbyist for years. Don't like being limited in your options to solve problems. Texture and shape limit your options, so you're keen to see more variety. No, I have not. Let me look it up real shortly though, or real quickly. Say TaleStavern.com. Let's see, what is this? Place for fans of TaleSpire to share their creations and more. I see. Yeah, I mean, the benefit that you can make use of other people's work, I guess, right? Let me see. Just give me a moment. Because I do want to share some stuff too. Are you familiar with Incarnate, by the way? Can I ask that while I'm getting this up here? There we go. Hear people talking about it a lot. Ah, shit. Okay, hold on. I have to log in. It's been a while since been here. See if I can remember my credentials and stuff. Apparently not. Ah, there we go. Okay, it's gonna require some loading. But yeah, I started using Incarnate very recently because I had a world map for the campaign that I'd been working on in Photoshop like several years ago, but Photoshop has its limitations, so I've been slowly converting it over into Incarnate instead. So I just bought like a year's worth of subscription. And my apologies if my, what do you call it, ability to control the camera in here is a little bit, yeah, there you go. It's a little bit rusty because I haven't used this in a couple weeks. But yeah, I can't remember if you can like pan the camera around, because if you do middle mouse button, that actually like selects stuff. But everything is like a stamp here, and you will notice that everything is like super blurry and stuff. But that's because this is the editing mode. So what you do is that you have all these, there they are, all these stamps here, for instance. And you can make your own favorites. Like I've got these aforementioned crystal presets here, which I can show what I mean. Like you can like kind of see where this is going, right? Green, red, yellow crystal, all from the same texture. It's just some advanced settings down here. But then you can like say, oh, I want this to be like 50% like I can't remember the bloody controls on this. But yeah, you can change the width and the height aspect ratios. You've got these filters, which is where you change the hue, saturation, brightness, and contrast. And you can also like multi-place things in here, which is really cool. So, but you can also use it in different ways, of course. TaleSpire does is by using generic objects, it records the location and facing on the plane, makes that and compresses into text. Yes, I've seen that. Keeps it super small and very fast to load. Tales Tavern can, from one click, load a 12 hours of work build in 2 seconds, and you're playing. Super powerful. If you want to make use of other people's work, that is. I tend to prefer doing my own stuff, but yeah. But yeah, this is like, you know, any out of the editing software. So if you want to add like a crystal there, you've got layers and all these other image related or image processing software related things that you would expect. Adding texture adjustments by order of magnitude increases the data for each new value an object takes up. True. That's true. But I guess they could get lessen that issue by having you toggle the advanced feature and then only have to load those settings for any things that you've made tweaks to. But I mean, it's a trade-off, so it's like, I personally don't think I will ever be using other people's work on the fly, so obviously loading the map is like one thing, but yeah, I mean, this whole map here is relatively complex in terms of how this works. I mean, all these trees here are individually placed objects. And then what I've done, like for instance for this haunted forest here, is that I took some of those trees and like reduced the brightness of them so that it fit the terrain texture I made for this. Because you can do the same thing with the terrain textures for this map building software. So if you go in here and open the catalog, you have like all these different textures, right? But say, how do we put this? Like this is a grass texture, but say you need the grass to be darker. Well, you've got the same filtering options here. So we can change the saturation and contrast to make it seem more lush if you really want to make like some jungle kind of underbrush on the map. So that's where this software really shines. But I mean, this software is also like, you work on it in an editing mode where everything is lower resolution, and then the intention is that once you're done with it, I can't remember where it is, but once you're done with it, you eventually will there, export this at a higher resolution, right? So, and then that is what you actually use for like World Anvil or wherever the heck you want to use it. And I can like maybe show what that looks like, because I've been working on World Anvil a little bit as well. All very new to me, but you know. See if I can remember my credentials on this one. Yep, I could. Good. Oh, and this is in fucking Danish. Please. I recently had like to reinstall my Windows, so yeah, stuff is not in the defaults. See how it can be very useful. Yeah, it's like the cool thing about Incarnate is you can also do battle maps with this actually. Let's see, because I got this one bookmarks, but you can do like an explore thing on this too. obviously 2D battle maps, but this gives you an idea of like the power of of this tool. Also, you can import custom assets into Incarnate as well if you really want to. But like, let's just take this random map here. So this, for instance, is a city map that someone built with the city map creation tool, because they're all three separate things. I could even put like a freaking legend on there, so I haven't messed with the other tools yet, like, so I don't know like what the possibilities are. But then like, this is a battle map, I assume. Yeah, it looks like one. And I've seen like some pretty crazy stuff with these, like when browsing through one day just for funsies to see what's possible. I mean, people do all kinds of wacky stuff here. But you can do some pretty insane like lighting effects. Obviously everything becomes pre-baked into the thing, so at the end you're just left with a single image that you can just pull into whatever tool you're using. But like, I guess this one can sort of like give you an idea that you can also work with light sources, I suppose. So yeah, and you can see like some repeating assets, right? So you can tell that the rock up here, for instance, is the same used down here. The same with like the one used here. That slab is the same used on this corner over here. So yeah, it's just it's pretty crazy what you can do with all this. I can highly recommend. You can use it for free, and then there's like a paid plan, and it's not super expensive, especially like if you're working with this a lot. That might be something of interest. So how does this work again? Yeah, so this is what currently the full res map looks like. I can't zoom in any further than this, but you know, you don't really need to either. So I've like started putting in like what do you call those, map markers, I guess? And there's gonna be like for all the other areas too. And then for the start of the campaign, I just have this base layer which I went into Photoshop and just, or Krita, I can't remember, one of those, and just added all that fog of war stuff so that the players have like things they don't know about to begin with. But yeah, it's like I've been using not these kinds of tools like so much. I mean, these are all new to me, but I've been working with level design tools for like several years on and off, starting all the way back in Age of Empires. That's where I got my beginnings. And it just opened up like a world of like, oh, I can do all these crazy cool things. And it's kind of what I want to work with, but unfortunately level design jobs are not that common. And people are very picky with who they want for a position like that, so my chances are very limited unless I went ahead and like made my own video gaming company or something. Oh, I almost choked myself there. But yeah, today I'm making taverns. So in the campaign, the starting areas, or the location where the players are going to be like introduced to the campaign, is going to be an area that consists mostly of Fae-like creatures from the D&D universe. So you gotta think, or anything similar to that, like nature kind of aspect. So you gotta think elves, satyrs, minotaurs, that kind of stuff basically. And I wanted to try and make their architecture like reflect that, so they are a little bit more alien in nature, or whatever you want to call it. So all their houses and buildings are all like cylindrical shaped. Obviously, can't do that in TaleSpire exactly, so I have to make a compromise and just use these tiles as best I can to try and get that feeling across, let's put it like that. But yeah. Oh, what? Oh, thank you, game. Just like catching my mouse like that. Oh, I'm noticing a slight problem here. How do I deal with this? There's no half tall walls here. So I can't have windows on this. Huh. Because obviously I can't do this either. Because then it sticks into the thing below it. Okay. So what if we do something like that? Can we... I mean, technically we could just do like this. That would work. A little bit janky, but I can work with this. Not exactly sure what I do for the upper floors, but technically in this case I wouldn't have to worry about it because I'm not building further up than that. So OT, what do you think of the new serpent set that they just released? What are your thoughts on that? Because I have a few of my own at least. Yeah, it's a little bit janky with the bricks sticking through the floor there, but if we can get a window up here, that's better. More important, I mean. And I guess we'll just have to do like... Yeah. If anything, then at least for the shadows. That actually reminds me, how do I want to make it so that the shadows are more realistic? Because I could just put like a flat top on this thing using that tile set and then they would never see that, so that would work. Probably just gonna do that then. Then we can add another window up here. And then just some walls to finish up this one. And I guess I should probably work on this upper part connection, whatever the heck you want to call that, before doing anything else. So that... should it be a facade? No, I should probably build it up properly. I mean, the work plane, doesn't that just... Yeah, it's not really that... I don't really use that much, honestly. Because the work plane, like... I work more dynamically. So... sometimes I'll be like working on a lower part and then other times a smaller part, so... Also... Wait. Am I not understanding what the work plane is? Because this obviously moves your camera up and down so that your... focal point is like higher up, but not really that necessary here because it's not super tall yet. And it's not going to be taller than this anyway. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. I don't know. Then I just have like a huge grid in the way. So I probably don't want to use that. But thanks for the tip anyway. Okay, this gap really annoys me. Why is there such a huge gap on this door? Is that because it belongs to a castle tile set or something? What does it say under the doors again? Does it even say? No. It's just a chunky door. Okay. Huh. I mean, I could fix that myself by just going in here and putting in like a pillar or something. It's under misc interior, right? Oh yeah, I can't rotate this on the other axis, so shit, can't use that. What about this thing? This is like a cylindrical wooden post, but I guess it could cover up that ugliness. But yeah, it's like if you press down control to initiate moving stuff up and down, you get the grid anyway, so it's not really like that different, right? Yeah, but I don't want to be able to see like through that crack. Like, it makes sense, and it's obviously so that if you go in and open the doors, I mean, even then, like, you know, it does sort of clip into the thing, so to move the rotation axis further out. But yeah, I know the slab's locked to it. Like, I've made some things already. I can show you in a moment what I have made if you're curious. So I'm not a complete noob. I just only have 19 hours into this. There we go. And I mean, the controls for this are fairly simple. Like, I guess we can just do something like that just to cover it up. Because this is supposed to stay locked anyways. There's probably going to be a freaking edge on the other side. Okay, let's maybe wait with that. Maybe once I add the ceiling, the natural darkness of that shadow is gonna make this crack less, like, awkward looking. The big question though is, what kind of floor should I use? Because these are very chunky. As opposed to these floorboards here. I could try and see if I add it in. Okay, this is maybe a little bit too much. How about this one? Okay, that would work. Yeah, but it's not because I want them to not be able to see stuff on the opposite side of the wall of the door. Like, it's just it's because it's an inaccessible area. So the hidden volumes don't really, like, they're not really relevant for this use case or for what I'm trying to do. And then how do we sell the illusion that there's supposed to be like an upper area that's inaccessible? Can we just get around that by adding like a sort of part of a staircase or something, maybe? can try and see what that looks like. Now there's probably no... that is one issue though. There's no... most likely no inverted wall there so that you can like have a wall that follows the staircase up. You're stuck with these square slabs. That is a bit of an issue. But I guess there's like, yeah, like even being able to, you know, flip this upside. I mean, no, that wouldn't do anything either. Wait, there are like some in here, right? No, right, because, yeah. So the closest thing you get to that is like this, but obviously you can't invert these things. And then you would also have a tile on the under part, so, How do I want to deal with that then? Let's try adding a pillar up at least, just to give some kind of illusion of support. Yeah, not entirely sure on what to do with that one. Making this vertical thing work is proving a little bit more difficult than I expected it to be. But that's probably also just because, you know, I'm trying to work against the medium in some ways. Like, you know, I'm not really utilizing all of the TaleSpire strengths in its by utilizing its simplicity, I suppose. But I'm actively trying to do stuff that's like non-traditional, if that makes sense. But maybe adding like some pillars here can help. Yeah, I think that looks okay. I mean, camera would be down here anyway, so don't really need that one. Yeah. Okay, is that it for like a basic shape? Maybe. Before I continue, I can show you the things that I have built though. So the first day that I used TaleSpire, I messed around and I built this thing in order to try and figure out how the fucking program works. Because I also needed like some kind of place for my players to hang out when they were joining in for Incarnate. Well, that's the plan anyways. So we've got a little tavern here on like a beach front side with just like the suggestion of some rocks and stuff, so that you get the impression that there's a wide ocean out there. I mean, the water helps too, right? I mean, you can really decorate the taverns to make them feel more unique and stuff, but obviously that also makes it take way longer time to make your battle maps, and for functionality reasons, like, does it really matter that much? I mean, you kind of need to add lighting in here because otherwise the whole place is just black. From what I've experienced. And if you don't put a roof on the whole thing, the shadows are gonna look weird because the interior is gonna have like, you know, just gonna have shadows for the outer wall, so can't even like... And here I want that gap, right? Because, you know, That's how hinges kind of work. They may be a little bit too exposed, but it's okay. But I was trying here to like do a hidden volume thing with like a suggestion of, oh, you're moving a bookshelf over and you reveal a hidden passage to the opposite side. But the thing is, you can't really use that feature to hide the contents of this room because that would be fog of war, and that's not implemented quite yet, if I understood it correctly. And then that leads to like an underground passage here with just like a battle planning table or whatever the heck, and then leads back out into the ocean. So it was also like a way for me to try out like moving tokens across, making things with odd shapes, like, you know, this cut in at the end of the tavern, having like a extension out with an upper floor, all that stuff. Or like things I wanted to see if TaleSpire could allow for these things, it was like flexible enough for what I wanted to do, I believe. Not sure what I mean. What, fog of war? What exactly do you refer to? Like, are you talking about the thing I mentioned about fog of war? Ah. Well, you can use it to hide the room's contents, but you can't use it to hide a room, well, sort of. There are some cases where they just don't work, by the way. Actually, for this staircase, it doesn't work. Field of view is something different. Or no, fog of war. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's implemented. I can't remember where it is, but it's... Is it like... No, it wouldn't be in under settings, right? Or was it? No, it wasn't here, yeah. This fog of war thing. But yeah, like having a volume in here that obscures that there's actually a room. I mean, you know, how would you obscure the existence of a room like this when you also have an exterior? It's like a weird thing, right? Because normally if you're just using, like I've got a linoleum battle map, right? And I've been used to just use water... Are they water-based markers? You know, the ones that you can remove to just draw battle maps on it. And when you're just doing line work like that, it's easier to get away with like saying, oh, there's a hidden room behind here because you need a hidden room or whatever. But when you're in TaleSpire, especially when you make exteriors, you have to like consider the logics of the physical spaces, you know? I mean, if you need to have an entire extra room that's occluded somehow, then there still needs to be that, you know, space for that room to happen. And the players can see that room, like, you know, easily, because it's always going to be there. Otherwise, I would have to obscure this entire section of the map in order to make it less apparent, or deliberately design the entire tavern if it was for like a mission so that there's only an interior, like no exterior whatsoever. So that obviously brings in the problem that, okay, the fight can't go into the streets because you don't have a street for that to take place in and stuff. Yeah, dry markers. Yeah, dry erase markers. Yeah. Terms. But like, on top of that, there are some cases where your hide volume thing is not applicable. Because I also wanted to try and see like, okay, we can use these tiles, right? To completely obscure the existence of there even being a staircase. But because of how the hide volumes feature works, see if we add another one here. Let's see, can we extend that down? There. and we extend this down, now we have that issue that the center point or whatever, like, it doesn't use the bounding box, I assume, for the objects to figure out what things or it might do. Yeah, it doesn't, I don't know exactly. I assume it doesn't use the bounding box because, as you can see, it also removes that piece of the staircase that you don't want it to hide. Drop your staircase by half a block and that problem is solved. But that's not really a solution though, is it? Because if you drop that by half a block, then it doesn't fit with the rest of your staircase, right? And all the pieces have like set heights, so unless you want your staircase to look janky, then yeah. I mean, it works, but it's not pretty. If you want to just have a straight staircase, you know? Because it's using volumes like that. But yeah, now you can do it, but it's not exactly what I wanted to do. Also, does it hide? I think it hides the wall too. Yeah, it does. That one I can't quite get around, I guess. Or is that just... No, it shouldn't hide the wall, right? No, that's just because it wasn't being rendered. Ah, there we go. Unless I really, really wanted to have like that particular wall piece with that extension on top. But, you know, then I'm just being difficult. But you're right, there are ways to get around it, I guess, but still. Yeah. So yeah, you can get around it, but still. It would be nice to like be able to blacklist certain things from not being affected by a volume too.
Submit!
So, and thanks for the follow. But you know, that's just pet peeves. It's not like you can't deal with it, you know. Because another way to just deal with that is just say like, oh, there's a hidden staircase underneath the floor. You discovered it. Congratulations. You know, like it's just free tiles. It's not necessary to have a hide volume feature because it's not like you need them to be able to re-enable the floor cover anyways. So on top of that, I've also, until so far at least, made some generic forest battle maps where I used like made some tree presets just to make it easier. Just to give that a go. Nothing too fancy, you know, it's not like super decorative, they're just very handy to have. Then I've made these ruin maze like tiles, and I don't know why. What the fuck? Why is the camera clipping that? The heck? Am I missing something? Why is the camera clipping this? Is this a bug that I'm not aware of? Press N. Oh. I didn't know that was a feature. Must have pressed that by accident. But these are the dungeon tiles that I've been making that are supposed to be very simple because they have to be reusable, so not a lot of unique features for the generic pieces, if you will. So they're like lightly decorated, but you know, if you're having a fight in this, it's not like you can use this rubble as cover or something. Was the idea. So welcome back, Andre. And it's going to be used for like a maze that the party has to navigate at some point, so pretty cool stuff. And then I made this end cap template, which I then used to make some more unique designs for like some more interesting encounters. I like using the trees as bushes because I really want like a very chunky piece of foliage so that you can just chuck into places. So I'm using trees as bushes in a lot of places. But yeah, this was also like just trying to play with this tile set to see what you could come up with. And like here you needed to like do some clever trickery in order to try and sort of counteract that edge you have for inverted corners that are around it. The same with like using these chunks here in order to do these in inverted corners to like, yeah. It's a bit of a workaround. Got ice cream and it's really hot, so yay. Well, enjoy. Now we've got one more where I wanted to make like a high ground in the middle with like access points towards the back, so. Because there are like dead ends in the maze too, so needed a little bit more variation for those since they were supposed to be a bit more special. Then we just get some generic plains-like battle maps here, which are all like using the same concept, which is I needed some generic plains maps that were relatively open. So that's why there's not a lot of stuff going on in the middle of these. With only a little bit of high ground in the edge, but nothing like super advantageous either. And then the idea is that the way I'll be using this is if an encounter happens in a plains area and I need like a generic battle map, I can just roll a d6 or whatever, or pick one at random, and then pull them into this board here. So that's like, oh, you're gonna be on board number whatever, and then use the DM markers here to drag their attention to where they need to be. I do like these stones, though I wish there were more variation to them. And I also wish that the poison ivy, there were better options for like covering large areas with poison ivy, because that doesn't really exist. You can only get like small plants, and then yeah, there's that one thing that's creeping along the floor. And then finally, I've got some more plains maps, but those here contain roads for situations where they're traveling along a road in a plains area, because, you know, just generic battle maps are required for you to run a campaign. I mean, these didn't take too long to make, you know, I made all these in a single day, right? So so what kind of flavor is it, Andre? Since you're saying it's good but not that good. And it is hot today, like I'm also like quite warm over here. But it's like the usual yearly dilemma. You can't always have the windows open either, unless you want to listen to a fuck ton of noise from outside, because I have a kindergarten right next to my apartment, where my biggest windows are located in that direction, so yeah, can't really open those unless I want to listen to kids all day. Vanilla has chocolate balls in it, but the balls are very scattered and not that big. AKA, what you say is that the flavor from those chocolate chip pieces or whatever is negligible. Is that what you mean? Like they might as well just not even be there. Huh. This is interesting. So there's like a lip kind of thing on this, like an outer edge. But if you want those with the straight pieces, you need to use something like this. I guess. Because I don't think, because this one is completely flat, right? And this is a 1x1. Well, at least they give you a 1x1, I suppose. I do want it to be completely flat too, by the way. Just for creating shadows. Oh. peculiar. I guess this also gives me like some insight into the tile sets I haven't touched yet. It doesn't really matter what the ceiling looks like because it's not going to be visible, I suppose, but you know, good practices and stuff. So now, if we go below, then it's all embedded in darkness. Darkness. Just how I like things to be. It's gonna be a little bit weird with the chimney down there too, because there's like no continuation upwards, and the only chimney pots you get are these, right? I don't think there's like... Well, maybe you could do some fancy stuff with these pipes to make it work, but... Do I really need to? Let's see. So what if we did something like this? That could be interesting. And then just have like a pipe on top of here. They're like a shorter segment. Doesn't seem like it. We can get around that by just chucking it further down. If we push it back a little, then it hopefully won't clip. Yes, okay. That probably won't work. Yeah, it's gonna clip a little bit, but that's fine. Yeah, that's okay. Other things that I want and need to do is like we need a bar counter. Now that we have the layout of everything else, we can put down the bar counter. I was thinking on putting it over on this segment here. So why don't we go ahead and do that? As far as I remember though, we only have these very limited pieces, but that should be fine. I guess we'll just do like a straight one. Like so. Then we can technically push it into the wall. It's gonna clip a little bit, but that's fine. And one more over here. That doesn't look half bad. Question is, do we need more pillars? Like when you get them, you can taste it, but it's faint. Yeah. I see what you mean. Might want like a suggestion of a pillar here as well. And just one more segment. There we go. Okay, it's looking a little bit more structurally sound, but I mean, you would need like some horizontal beams most likely to go through the whole thing. But you know, that's more detail that I care adding in. Let's look at some interior decoration stuff. So we have tables and things like under furniture, right? Yeah, I'm not too acquainted with all the details that you can put down yet, like, but you know, practice makes perfect. Just checking out what kind of options we have. That's like a really low. That's not even, yeah, that's not even a seating thing, is it? It's like a stepping stool or something. Tables with tankards and prearranged like decorations are always nice and appreciated because that means less time required from me to put in a lot of detail in like very little time. Because you're gonna add light sources to these as you please later without issue. Okay, maybe a bit of a weird situation. Have a table right underneath the staircase. A little bit out and then that's better. What else? Can add a round table over to in this direction. As gotta like clip in the floor on the outer edges, but that's acceptable. Just TaleSpire things, I guess. Got some shelves here, which we could use to decorate the wall. Don't really bookshelves on that. Oh, that's like a freaking vampire themed bed it was. Looks so. What's this? This is like not just a rug, this is like a bunch of stacked rugs. I guess if you really wanted to use this as like a carpet rug kind of thing, you could technically just drag it down. But I guess there are kind of things that are explicitly, you know, designed to be used for that, so. Yeah, these are all like workstations and stuff. Oh, that's kind of like hanging in the wall there. But don't move it around a little bit. Guess you can also make the tavern completely trashed, but actually you could make, if you need to have like a tavern in two different states, like a trashed and non-trashed state, I guess you would make the fully decorated tavern first. Then once you're happy with it, you would take all of the things in that tavern, copy paste them over to a second thing right next to it, and then you would take those assets that are like flipped and stuff and then put them in place wherever it makes sense. I know for a campaign situation, if it's like, oh, I want to flip a table, you know, mid-campaign, then you got to do like some like, what do you call it? DM maintenance while the battle map is being used, but you know, work as you see fit and do whatever works for you. And because of this rounded corner, that seems like a pretty fitting place to have a rounded table. Don't know if we can actually have tables down here other than maybe these and then add in some chairs ourselves. That might work. Rotation options on these tables are or objects are a little bit limited, but it's enough to get the job done, I would say. What's this? Oh, this is like what do they call again? Like not a dresser, just like a simple drawer element. Guess we can try and put that there just for reasons. And let's add our own little stumpy stools in here so that people can actually sit down and have a drink. And our custom table setups. I mean, taverns are not just about alcohol and shenanigans, but you know, we can also add some tables with some food in here. And because this one doesn't have any chairs with it, we can just put in our own. Like so. Okay, it's already starting to be a little bit more homey. Homey, I mean, this is a tavern, but you know, cozy, I guess is a better choice of words. Add some bar stools over here to the counter. else? Can have like a bot playing in the corner over there. Containers. Don't think I've looked too much into these either yet. So what even are these? It's just like potions and stuff. Oh, some baskets. Let's try and add those in there. I mean, it's like, you know, there's a ton of detail in here that I could spend like hours and hours on building a tavern, but you know, is that really gonna be not like, I'm trying to figure out a good choice of words here, but it's like, will it really be necessary in order to get, you know, what you need out of the battle map for your players, you know? Like, they will say like, oh, this looks so fucking cool and detailed, and it might be memorable and stuff, but only if you like use the tavern very sparingly. So like, say for instance you only use it once, and then it's like, you know, you might have spent ended spending up like hours building this bloody thing, and then it gets used for like a single session, and then you gotta like start all over with something new, right? And I don't know, I mean, as most people will probably be like, what do you call it? Would agree with me, is that you can spend like hours refining your work, but I mean, if it never gets finished and it's the only thing you've ever worked on, then yeah, I guess I don't need to say more. Let's just add a little box more here, and then I think that's fine for this. Don't want to make it over cluttered in that corner, because that's another thing too, like you can try and utilize, in my opinion. This Christmas presents, okay. So like, if you're decorating something, try not to go like too overboard when you start out. Like, try adding small things here and there, I would say. Like for instance, you know, take it progressively, because that way it's easier to just stop at any time and say like, okay, I think I'm done decorating this piece for now, you know, and it'll look complete and things won't be looking too out of place, you know. There won't be like a sense that one corner of the tavern, in this case, for instance, would be you know, empty. So say if we like started out with this corner down here and got this bar like super decorated, but then the rest of the tavern maybe only has like a few tables, like, I mean, we have that right now, right? And no other excessive details, well, then that might stick out a little bit. Or you as a creator might consider like you need to add some more detail. I guess another thing that you can also consider is that the more detail that you put in here, like say I were to put in a box in the corner over here, one of the players might see that box and think like, oh, I'm going over to investigate what's in this box, and you're like, shit, I didn't really account for that. And now you have to like on the fly sort of think up what could possibly be in a box like that, you know. So that's another thing where if you save on or are more sparse, I would say, more tactical with your details, you can sort of save some headache in that sense. Does that make sense? You guys can like correct me if you think I'm wrong. Get like some nice... Oh, I really like that. How it breaks all that light onto the wall there. That's really cool. But yeah, light sources are super important in my opinion, because they really add to like you know, the atmosphere of a place, and especially like interiors. If you don't have any light sources, the place just gets so dark that you can't see shit. Like literally can't see anything. Which reminds me, I thought there actually was like a wall piece with like a lantern on it. Oh yeah, there are some pieces like this one. And this one, but since those are only existing on the as pieces with the floor built in, we kind of have to put in our own light sources. And we don't want to use wall torches because, you know, you would never use those indoors anyway. It would just be a fire hazard. Produce too much smoke and a bunch of other stuff. So that's just something we can do though, for consistency's sake, I suppose. Yeah, okay, so we have a lantern here. Okay, so they hang them like really high up, just below the upper beams and the wall. So if we do the same like for our own hand-placed ones, so basically sort of up here, then they produce like a similar lighting effect as the ones that are further below. Sometimes I wish you could really disable the bobbing of all the structural elements and stuff. Because it's sometimes a little bit annoying that when you're trying to, especially with like really tiny things like these, and like, I wish the grid was more transparent. I don't know if that's a setting and stuff. But like, you know, it's hard to see what you're doing when there's this much shit in the way. It's literally occluding your entire view, and you can't really get around it because it's the placement plane for these damn things. So it's like supposed to be like a visual aid, but I mean, it's actually just making it more difficult. Like I clearly placed that freaking lantern far enough to be like that metal part visible, which I suppose is like the brace that it's attached to. But for some reason, it was denied. Yeah, I mean, I could put in these braziers here, which would produce good light, but those should probably be reserved for like castles and stuff. I mean, you can use them as you see fit, but can't have shadows without lights. You can't have light without shadows, so if you overdo the lighting anyway, it's gonna be like hard to create that atmosphere. This might also be like exceedingly dangerous, actually, not thinking about it, but I'm gonna let that slide. I mean, we're not going for complete realism, let's be honest, but you know, if you want to be immersed in something, it needs to be at least believable. Most people don't consider, you know, wall torches to be a problem indoors though, but I mean, if you've been indoors with like a lit campfire or something, or just any kind of open flame, and then, you know, if you imagine the size of a wall lit torch or a brazier inside, then you can start seeing what the problem might be. Like if we added one of these, it's a good light source, but damn, like the smoke it would produce. you would basically die from like poisoning. CO2 poisoning inside. I do like the way that they've done their lights though, so that it's not just a spherical, evenly, like it's a dynamic light, you know what I mean? No, I'm not gonna do RimWorld today, Andre, no. That's for tomorrow. I played RimWorld yesterday. No, not yesterday, the day before that. Shouldn't lie, I need to get my facts straight. I have also worked out my computer issues as far as I know, at least. Why do these not produce any light? Is that because... Nope. Can't turn them on and off. They just don't produce any light. Huh. Yeah, it turned out to be like... or... assuming that it is still the case. Oh, these are actually really good, like wide light sources for inside, maybe. I am not entirely sure what this is though. You could also use a candelabra or whatever they're called when they're standing on the floor like this. These should also produce pretty decent lighting. Yeah. Okay, so it is like, I believe, just a huge cylinder of like a candle at the top maybe? Or do you think it's like... Because if it's a candle, why would it be like super wide at the top of this? You know, just fantasy things maybe. But yeah, my issue currently seems to be that, or I've boiled it down to maybe be like, not a hardware specific issue, but a computer hardware configuration issue. And what I mean by that is that it's got stuff to do with how my hardware inside my case has been... what do you call it? Fastened, I guess, like configured, set up, set into place. So basically, what I did to resolve my BSODs was that I literally took out my hard drives, and along with that my GPU, because it's so big that if I don't, I can't extract my hard drives. Just to see if there was any like kind of damage on them, or if they were exceedingly dusty. There were some dust on there, which I obviously cleaned up, but it wasn't something I would go ahead and say like super, you know, problematic, because it was just in a corner somewhere on the HDDs. And then I put everything back in again. And ever since I did that, I haven't had a single BSOD yet. And that leads me to believe that the memory related BSOD error messages I got are because maybe some kind of pressure or something was applied to like my HDDs, for instance, or there was a cable that had gotten loose somehow. Any matter of reasons that basically made it so that the HDDs would not read data correctly in some instances, which would help explain why my BSODs were so random too, by the way. And like, if it was like, it could be that literally some of the SATA cables were pushing down on it too hard, and then when one of the HDDs were trying to read specific data, the pressure from whatever else is in the case might have led the computer produce an error message because the HDD was unable to read the data, or in trying to read the data, it, like whatever is intercepted were being corrupted because a physical obstruction would cause it to not be able to do its job properly. And, you know, Windows is not that great at reporting those kinds of error messages, so all you get as a user is like, oh, your memory's, like there's an issue with reading your memory or something. Right? So it's just putting out a generic error message like that. And that happens whenever you have hardware related issues, you know. And the computer just sees like, oh, this piece of hardware reported some like inability to work properly, and must be a memory related or hard drive related issue, right? Because that's all the computer can do, and then it'll reboot and you won't be the wiser. So got yourself €10 worth of actual food and €6 of trash food. Need to get a can of compressed air. Yeah, like when I lived at my mom's place like 8 years ago, my dad had like a left behind an air compressor out in the garage, and I just used that to clean my PC. And some people will probably point the finger and say like, but what, like, did it have like filters and stuff like that? I don't know. I mean, there was a little bit of condensation when using it, but nothing super serious. And yeah, I was using it like at pretty far range anyway, so the components might have gotten a little bit moist back then, but I never had any issues with corrosion or something like that, at least. So, okay, now I think we're pretty good on light though. Just to get back to where we're going, this tavern here. I think this is a pretty good setup. Now for the finishing touches, I would say. So that's like all the extra detail that you can think of. Oh, we could actually have like some seating cushions over here just to make it feel like a little bit different. Looks a little bit square, this one though. Like it just came out of like a factory compressed box or something. And we have like all these assets over here on the wall, so don't have to place any of that manually. And we can... Cleaning utensils. Like we can put down like some swords and shields on these just to make the pillars seem less empty, I guess. Minecraft chair. I mean, it is really boxy, right? Bunch of papers. This looks like really weird to me. Like I think the, what are they called again? Those things out at the end are supposed to be like super fluffy, but they just look really rigid and almost made out of gold. I don't know if that's intentional or not. But yeah, they don't really look that nice. What's this? Oh, this is an actual... Oh, wow. Okay. So that's a standalone chimney for the freaking Darkness Castle set. I see. What's this? Oh, wow, that's a telescope and a half. This is where we also had those pipes. Oh, this is like the fucking Palantir orb from Lord of the Rings or something. Put it on the roof. I guess we could put paintings in here. I don't think I put any paintings on the other... Ooh, okay, maybe not that one. I don't know if I would, anyone would appreciate that. There's also some mirrors. This artwork is probably more for like... Well, I guess like you wouldn't want to put, yeah, this is like for a freaking vampire castle. I guess you wouldn't really put paintings in any other buildings either, unless they're like a castle or something, because I mean, let's face it, no one would be able to afford that kind of stuff anyway. All this is considered exterior. So what do you guys, what do they consider exterior? I mean, statues, okay. I mean, you could place this in as an interior in a castle as well, you know? Or like a dungeon. Rubble. I mean, you could have that indoors too, but I see why they would put it here. Oh, these are also for the new serpent set. I didn't even notice these pots. I see. There's some hay and stuff. Okay, so we probably don't need to look at that category. Grim, that's like torture devices and stuff. Don't need signs, don't need traps or treasure. So... fences, no. Crafting, no. Containers, no. Not really. Oh, I guess that does limit it to just being the furniture category and the food and drink category that you really care about looking through. I thought there were like some carpets or something, like floor carpets that, you know, weren't like stacked like these. Maybe the idea is that you fucking do like this. I mean, I can totally do this. Just to add like a bit of color into the floor here. Oh, so they also give you standalone railing pieces. That's nice to know. Guess there might be some cases where you could use that. I don't really need to use it in this case, but I guess this one, well, not really needed at all anyway, anywhere that I can tell. Actually, now that I think about it. What are these used for? Is that just if you're intending on using like staircase and you want like a railing in the middle or something, but then you could just use, okay, that might be a few contingency cases. Can you even access the roof? I mean, the building ends here. This is just to get the shadows. This is not the top of the roof. You have to imagine that this building might be like maybe twice or 3 times as tall. So it's just because there's no reason for me to build the upper floors because they're never going to be used. Okay, Nemesis. Bye, I guess. Should we add some shelves or something? Even though just some empty ones. I feel like this part here is a little bit empty, maybe. It's like I don't want to add like, you know, there's no reason to add like a wall shelf like this here because that's out of place. All these other tables are like, okay, this one is like for food, I suppose. Yeah, other than looking to see if there was some cool carpets, which apparently we're like stuck with these. And doing some hacky stuff like this. And then it's like, this is like a floor rug, like a doormat or something when you do put them down like that, so. Nah. Hadn't had any sugary beverages, you mean? Oh, that could have been cool. Like, try and incorporate these across here or something. Don't know why you would have them hanging like this though. Because this is like for drying, I suppose, or... No, I don't know. More like bubbly. Fizzy drinks. Let's look at the food menu. Because the only thing I can really think of that I might need is just to add a little bit more stuff here. Like some tankards and such. Otherwise the bar looks a little bit empty maybe. Put some food onto this tray so that there's a suggestion that food is actually being served here. Nice pie. And I think that's fine. There we go. What makes you say that, Andre? Oh, there's even like a quick thing here if you just want to add like some like plates and stuff to like a table. Yeah, not all the tables need stuff on them, so. Anything else that we would like to do? Because I feel like we're getting pretty done here. I guess I could also, nah. Like a ladder or something in case, not to get up on that shelf, but just, you know, for roleplay purposes so that it exists. For world building purposes, I mean. It's very loud. Sure. Anyways, I think this is pretty satisfying for me. In terms of having the tavern at least. The question is, should I add an exterior area? Because this tavern is supposed to be used for the campaign after all. But not necessarily for combat, but this is like in case I need to do combat. Your walls are weird. I mean, I don't really have any options to do it in any other way if I want a window on those floors. Because there's no halfway piece that can fit into that gap. As far as I know. At least not in here. I mean, I can put in something like this, but that would be problematic for another reason. Because then it's like a whole block and it goes inside and yeah. It's optimal, I know, but that's just life sometimes. One thing I don't even think there is anything in the tile sets that's like half height. Because even if I went into, shoot, where is it again? Desert Village here. Are any of these like half height? TaleSpire devs, please add walls of half height or something. This one is kind of half height. Can I make this work? Because I guess I could do something like this, you know? That way you don't have the weird overlap stuff. It would add some like dynamic brick stuff. I don't know how to put it. Like it would make the building look like a little bit more chaotic, but I think that it's a little bit of charm. Maybe that's fine. So we do have like these half walls is the only thing I guess that I could use in this case. Again, if I could change the colors, like the hue saturation and stuff like that, that would make those infinitely more useful, because then you could maybe try and match up those two parts of the texture with the two colors of the other walls. But yeah, I think this is as good as it's gonna get. I mean, it's not really like the upper part matters anyway, because again, this is just a suggestion, so. And besides, I can't do anything about these outer wall things here. Like I can remove this floor piece here, with relatively good conscience, because it's just like a small corner there. But there's still like these pieces that I can't do anything about. The only thing I could do to mitigate that problem is to use this piece indoors, but you know, that would just bring its own set of issues alongside it. Yeah, we can try and just do this then, I guess. I think that's just what we're gonna do. Polish it off a little bit. It's like okay. Color scheme is not exactly what it should be in universe, but you know, gotta work with what you have, so. Had the suggestion of like a road outside or something. Actually, wait, no, not tiled roads. Not rural nature, right? Yeah. Because this is for like a more rural area, kind of like tavern. And I mean, the general gist with buildings like these is that you could technically set them up so that you can just make like, you know, 10 different buildings, for instance, like houses that are just exterior stuff, and then you would go in and sort of like an eyedropper thing, copy and paste this, you know, and rotate them in different ways. I mean, this is a completely symmetrical building from the outside almost, right? In terms of general shape at least. But you could have more dynamic looking buildings, and then that way you could make like an entire street within seconds. You would just need to build the buildings first, which obviously would still take a lot of time, but you know, you have options. And that's probably also the way I would do it when and I'm saying when because I'll eventually want to do that probably. But when I'll eventually want to do like more city buildings. But then the question is, would you design them with interior in mind, or would you design them with only exterior? Because there are strengths and weaknesses to both. The strengths obviously is that it takes less time. You can have a little bit more artistic freedom with what you put on the outside and how big the buildings are. They don't have to be realistically scaled, you know. Don't need to put in like realistic things like, or believable things rather, like you don't need a living room, you don't need to think about where the bedrooms are, like how many people live in the house and the kitchen area and all that stuff. Don't have to think about the believability of it from an interior perspective. And that's mostly why they don't tend to make interiors that much in video games, because, you know, immersion. Want to make it more believable so that people get immersed better, or have an easier time being immersed, I should say. Yeah. And let's not make the road go into the building, like towards the building itself. It's perfectly fine in my opinion to have this patchy grass out here. Like so. Just a little bit of a suggestion of, you know, grass and stuff. But make it more like dynamic looking, so it's not... I personally feel that it's more pleasing to have a more dynamic looking battle map, especially when you have the option to. So instead of making this a complete square area on the outside, it's a bit easier to maybe imagine that this road continues if you don't make like a square cutout, if you know what I mean. Because you know, you get the suggestion that there's grass on the other side of the road here, so you don't really need to add grass on the other side here as well, because that leaves room for imagination that, okay, there could be another building over here, just like there could be on the other side of this grass, but just a little bit further away. And the same with the roads, like, you know, you don't need to completely extend them all the way out, because it's, you know, your imagination can imagine that there's a road that goes further out. So, at least that's my opinion. People might not agree, but that's just how it is. And I never renamed this one. Taverns, maybe? I mean, if you're going to be part of the campaign, I don't know if that's going to negatively impact you. Probably. I mean, if you're trying to enter a halfling house, for instance, you might have an issue. Not in a bad way, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna start whining about some buildings. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's more important that the thing is functional than it is pretty. It has to be believable to a certain degree, but the most important thing is that it's functional. In other words, like, you got to be able to easily switch between layers, because it's a very vertical building, so you don't want to have too many levels. I mean, this is already quite a lot, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 levels, counting the ground floor, that could have relevance. But you know, this very much most upper one isn't that important, so you know, you can technically do like this, or even like, I guess, like, yeah, like this would be fine, and you would be able to see the top floor just perfectly well, and everything else that you need below it too. And then if you need to just see the lower level, you could even make do with just this view. You know, say you have someone standing over here, and someone else in the party down on the ground floor started a bar fight with someone, or like a big bad guy comes through the door and like rushes him up against the wall, and you have like an archer on the upper floor or something. You know, just a little bit more verticality thought into like how you can make a potential encounter be interesting in a building like this. We also have the fact that you can be straight above someone in the bar over here, you know, so that if you want to do stuff to someone, that's like, you could place an NPC on this very exposed spot that conveniently you could drop something from right on top of them, or jump down even, you know. There are options on that. So instead of having a completely flat, like if we only had this, for instance, I mean, that would already have worked for a tavern, you know. We could have had the suggestion of the stairs going up and then into a doorway, just like we have on the upper floor here, right? Because this is an inaccessible spot. This is just to provide the illusion that the building continues further up. But say we only had the bottom floor, then we could do the same thing here. Have that be the suggestion of there's an upper floor with like some bedrooms or something. And even maybe where the tavern owner sleeps. But then just have this completely simple, but yet, you know, very dynamic, you know, ground level area. If you can send me a TikTok. I don't use TikTok, so that would be wasted effort. But I guess you could also technically just use this ground floor as is. Say you don't want the added complexity of upper floors and stuff. You could like literally just copy paste the entire building, and rip off away the entire upper section, and just put this floor, that ceiling we have, down to the ground level so that you keep the shadows. Or you could just remove the staircase, really, or just keep it, I guess. There's plenty of options to reuse this rather generic area. cool VR roleplay thing. Okay. Bop it up. Something I wanted to do though is that now that I've named it, that's named the board for the tavern, I wanted to go over here and copy some trees across. Let's just do these. Should be fine. And then go back to the taverns. Like this. And then use this as like an eyedropper thing just for a little bit of extra detail on the outside. Now that I decided to add the exterior areas, you kind of need to add like, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier, you know, you got to like gauge how much work you want to put in it. But yeah, I was taking a look at the time and I was like, oh, okay, I've got like stuff I need to do today, and like I need to go and grocery shopping, so I realized that this is probably as like I'll only be able to finish this one building in this session. Oh yeah, another feature that would be nice is that when you've grouped things that are not tiles, to still allow for me to rotate them incrementally instead of by 90 degrees. Because that should still be possible, but for some reason it's just not. Unless I'm overlooking like some kind of detail. Interesting. Hey Jess, how are you doing? You're saying this, which is interesting? TaleSpire? Or was it something I said? And I hope you're having a good day. I think this is about right for trees. Maybe one more. It's like a map builder. Yes, it's like it's a battle map builder for anything like that uses a standard grid-based system. It's really cool. Ah, you're at work. Okay. Well, have a good time working at least. But yeah, it's yeah, I like D&D for instance. I guess it's technically directed towards fantasy, high fantasy related things like D&D mostly. Because that's where all the tile sets and tokens are like sort of useful for. Yes, it's a map builder. I can just keep those trees there, that's fine. Move them out of the way though. There we go. I'm pretty satisfied with this. It's not exactly like a cylinder, but it's gonna do what I want it to. But yeah, it's intended for D&D and stuff. It's like how should we say this? Like, it's a very simple functionality wise tool. So like when it comes to moving tokens around, it's very basic what you can do with your tokens. There's no like built-in character sheet or macro system for doing damage rolls. Like you can assign hit points and stuff to tokens, but like you have to manually manage those points if you want to use that system. But it's mostly just like a tool that you can use to build and subsequently move around your tokens with. So instead of having it in a two-dimensional thing. So like for instance, if we select this token over here, if I hold down shift, I can move it around on like the grid, Or you can also just pick them up and move them around, and you can set settings whether or not you want them to snap onto the grid. And you can also, as like if this was like an actual combat situation with like another player, instead of telling me like, oh, I'm attacking that troll over there, they could say like, I'm attacking this troll, and then use a magic missile to like indicate which one it is. Just as one example. You might have a RimWorld addiction. Don't we all? Don't we all? I think I have to. It's the perfect game for a lot of reasons. Not everyone's cup of tea though. You know, it doesn't have to be when it just because it's like a really good game, but you know. Okay, I can add a little bit more detail, but then I need to go grocery shopping, I think, so that I can get that out of the way. Okay, I can place like some rocks here to obscure the fact that the floor goes through the thing. That might work. It's a little bit suspicious looking that they're right at the corners, but I think that's fine. Add something like this maybe. There we go. Probably move this freaking thing down so I can see what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm playing RimWorld tomorrow, so if you have time, you should totally pop by. I normally stream like late into the evening and late night, like night portion of the day, so you should be able to catch me there. And if not tomorrow, then at least Saturday you also have another opportunity. It's a little bit of plant growth so that it doesn't become too like empty on the lowest ground level in terms of plants. Oh, we can have like a single one just sticking through here. Let's add a little bit of a green color there. And yeah, I think that's fine. Anything else that I want to do? Gotta try and work on some Twitch integration sometime. Oh, you mean Toolkit? The ones that I'm using? I would definitely recommend looking into Toolkit. It's a little bit more work, but it's so much more rewarding than using Rim Connect. Because you can use Rim Connect, but I used that to begin with too, and I'm so happy I switched over to Toolkit. It was pausing the pause crashing. Oh. Interesting. Haven't quite heard that before, so yeah, that's news to me. And yes, if you're wondering, okay, maybe this is I'm almost making this a forest area. Should probably be careful not to make it seem like that either. But it's supposed to be like a very, as I said, it's supposed to be a tavern located in a rural area, so trees are gonna be pretty common. Nothing is like cobbled or anything in terms of walkways and stuff like that. There are pathways and the buildings are like pretty sturdy, so like this mix of high quality elven bay-like builds that are also sort of supposed to be integrated into nature in some ways. Yeah, I hope you figure out your issue, Jess. Because then I have another person that I can raid when I'm done streaming, because you would probably be streaming in those hours that I'm done streaming. Okay, enough is enough. I think I've done plenty on this thing for today. And if I remember correctly, there's like no way to really save your work, right? It just does that automatically or dynamically. I will kill your colony. I mean, my viewers tend to be pretty nice on average. There are some few instances, but you know, should be okay. Anyways, thanks for dropping by, Jess, and also everyone else who's here right now. Thanks for dropping by, and I hope that you guys all got like something interesting out of this. It's a little bit different than normal gameplay, but I do need to get these things built, and I could have been building this for my without streaming, but I think that it's more interesting to have like a dialogue and get more people invested into this kind of stuff. Also, just so you guys can see what I'm up to on, you know, when I'm not streaming and doing other things. So I'm not always being a lazy bum and doing nothing. I do actually try and stay productive. Anyways, speaking of gameplay in RimWorld though, let's actually see if there's anyone currently streaming RimWorld. Oh, we could... Let's see, Tiny Muffy, you're streaming RimWorld. She's a pretty lovely person. I don't know if she does TTK right now, but let's try and raid her. Just for good measure's sake. So I hope you've had a good time here, and that you'll at least participate in this raid, and I will see you all another time.
Feel better? How was that alert sound? Dragon King with the raid.